Hello, Stampin' Friends. This is Kelly Acheson at stampabove.com coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin. Today I have a cool background technique that I'd like to show you. It's called magic water stamping, and I learned this technique from my good friend Dina Rico. So thanks, Dina. I love it. So can you see the background here? I've used the Paisleys and Posies stamp set in the background on my card. I've also added some copper thread and some of our copper foil paper with Bermuda Bay cardstock, Dapper Denim ink, and Bermuda Bay ink. So let's get started and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in some scrap paper here to protect my surface. I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 5 inches by 3 3/4. I'm bringing in some Bermuda Bay ink and some Dapper Denim ink and also some daubers. So I'm going to use the Bermuda Bay first. You want to use your lighter color first, and you're just going to add color to your Whisper White layer. You want to get your color fairly intense on this layer, and don't worry about the little splotches. That all adds to the charm of the background and makes it a little less uniform, which is kind of what I'm going for here. So once you have your Bermuda Bay ink on there, we're going to add a darker ink. You can play around with colors and come up with different color combinations. Now I'm going to come in with some Dapper Denim and just add that. You don't want to cover up the whole layer. And I think this looks about good enough for me. Now I'm going to grab one of my stamps, and you can use any type of stamp for this. This just happens to be a photopolymer stamp. Any of our stamps will work, and I'm going to kind of try to cover up my work area here. I've got one of our Stampin' Spritzers, and I've just filled it up with water. You're going to hold this about 12 inches away from your stamp, and you're going to squirt it. So I'm going to try to do this, see how much of a mess I can make on camera. You want to spray it enough that you get good coverage of water on your stamp. And then you're just going to stamp this. And you're going to hold it down for a few seconds to let that water absorb into your cardstock. And there we go. Can you see the magic happening? That's why it's called magic water stamping. If you take your heat tool, that'll speed up the process. It'll make it really pop. Or you can just let it dry. I'm just doing this so that you don't have to wait and I don't have so much editing to do. How about that? So can you see the image there? Isn't that cool? So whatever image you stamp on here kind of takes the ink away from your layer. So let's try, I'm going to try this medallion. This is also from the Paisleys and Posies set. You get a feel for this. You just try it. Sometimes you'll get too much water. Sometimes you may not get enough. Just keep trying. You'll get the feel for it. Here comes that medallion. Isn't that pretty? Let's make that pop. Very cool. I'm going to stamp the rest of this layer up so we can continue on with our card. In between stamping, I just dry off my stamps with some tissues and spray them again and stamp. So I'll be right back. Okay, now we have our background layer all ready to roll, so we're gonna do the rest of our card. I'm bringing in the Dapper Denim and the Thankful, Grateful, Blessed. I'm going to stamp that on a piece of Bermuda Bay. I'm going to die cut this with one of our layering ovals. And I have to tell you, if you don't have some of these layering framelits, we've got squares, circles, ovals. These are awesome. I love the fact that the oval, or the shape, circle, square, oval, then has a scalloped matching framelit that can be just a tiny bit bigger. I'm going to run this through my Big Shot. I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have this piece die cut, I've got a piece of our new copper foil paper here that is 4 by 5 1/4. And here's what I did to save a little bit on my paper. I'm going to cut my oval layer right out of the middle of my copper paper. Okay, so there's what we have. And that seems kind of odd, but guess what? This layer is going to cover that right up, so there's no sense in cutting an extra piece just to cut out your oval. Then I also would like a little medallion, and this is in the Paisley framelits. There's a ton of little framelits that go with the Paisleys and Posies stamp set. So I'm going to use this medallion, and I'm going to put it right in the middle of my oval scallop, because this is going to then cover that up. Once I've die cut this medallion, I'm going to use my Big Shot die brush to help me get out all those little pieces. And then we're going to need a pokey tool. And all these little pieces pretty much just fall right out of here. Once I get all these little pieces out of here, then I'm going to use my pokey tool to poke right into the tiny little hole that's by this open circle. And that's going to give me enough leverage to pull this right out of there. You might have 1 or 2 of these little dots left in here. They come out easily with a little help from your pokey tool. And there we go. Now that we have all these layers done, I am going to adhere my greeting to my copper layer, and I'm just going to put some glue on the front of my copper layer so that I don't get glue gushing out all over under here. Does that make sense? That's why I'm doing it this way, because I have a hole in it. I thought that was a great way to you know, conserve on paper. Your foil paper will go a lot further if you do little things like this. Then I'm going to take my little medallion and I am going to add it to the back, just so it's kind of coming off the edge there, with a regular piece of Scotch tape. Just like that. I found that that secured it the best. Then we've got some dimensionals going on the back of here to pop this up. Got 1 on each side, and we're going to peel the backs off of them and add the copper thread. So here comes our copper thread, and this is how I do it. I take it and I wrap it. Look at it, I got glue all over my fingers. I wrap it around my fingers a few times, and then I'm just going to cut it, and I'm going to maybe twist it over here and stick it to my dimensional, and that'll stay nice and secure right there like that. So let's do another one for the other side. Just wrap it around your fingers a few times, cut it, and then I'm going to come right in here to this dimensional. Oh, and I think that's sticking off just a little further than I would like. There we go. That looks good. Okay, so can you see that? Here, how about on the white? You can see it better. You can see the thread sticking out there. And it's just a neat way to add an extra embellishment to your card. And of course, the copper is all tied in to what we're doing here. So I'm going to, I do recommend using liquid glue to glue on this layer, because we put a lot of water on it. It's kind of, it's not laying flat anymore. So if you use glue or your tape all the way around the edge, you'll find that it's going to lay down nice and flat for you. And of course we want our layer to be nice and flat. There we go. Here's our card base, and I am going to burnish this I got some glue in the middle there. Add this to our card front. Isn't that pretty? I just love the copper, you guys. Copper is very trendy right now. You're going to see it in your department stores with home decor. I know somebody said they bought a lamp recently that was copper. Here goes our little embellishment right here. And then I've just got a 4 by 5¼ inch white layer here that I'm going to bring in for the inside of my card. I always like to kind of do something on the insides. This is a nice area to write on. And if you'd like, you can stamp it. How about we'll give it a nice paisley right over here in the corner. Or we'll ruin it like that. Well, you know how these things happen. We've all done it before. So before my glue gets really dry here, we're gonna take this baby apart and salvage this card, right? So how's that for real video? So if you ever do that, here's my tip for you. Quickly remove it. How about let's stamp before we put our layer in our card, like I know better. It's just a better idea. There we go. Didn't drop it that time, did I? You know these things happen. You know they do. They happen at your house too. I know it. And I'll give us a little medallion there. And now let's put our card together. Oh my Lord. Real life. This is real life video. Sometimes you have those days where this happens all the time, right? There we go. Magic water stamping. Isn't that pretty? Now, if you're local and you're in my technique group, we meet once a month, and I always make an instruction card for our technique. This was our technique this week, and it has the directions on it, so you can like punch a hole in this and make a whole little booklet of these with each class, and you'll have a whole booklet of techniques to refer back to. So it's kind of a cool idea because, you know, we forget stuff, or at least I do. I know you guys do too. So I wanted to show you just one more card that I made. I used the vintage leaves in the background on this one with a red greeting layer and some of our burlap ribbon. So same card, just a different stamp here, and that turned out really pretty too. And I made this for my mom. She told me she's out of sympathy cards, so I thought I'd make her up some. So there you go. Two beautiful cards. Here's my instruction sheet. I do have an opening in my Technique Tuesday. We meet once a month. If you're interested in your local, pop me an email. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. You can check out my website at www.astampabove.com. Feel free to pop me an email if you need catalogs. I'd be happy to send them to you. So add a little sparkle to someone's day and send them a card.